Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I have the 2 Melody Beatty books with me today, as well as the Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone. And I thought we would start with that and see what it has. I haven't looked at any of these, so I have no idea what they're going to say. See what it has to say to us. Oh, I don't have my reading glasses with me. They're over there. Okay. I looked at September 12th. See, that's how bad I need my reading glasses. Okay, September 9th. Failing better. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again. Fail better. Samuel Beckett. We will fail more often than we care to think. We can learn from our failures, and we're still going to fail in the future. The key is to fail in new ways, not to keep repeating the failures we've already experienced. I won't get discouraged by failure, but I will try to make sure that when I fall, it's because of something new, not because of something in a rut. Wait, not because I'm stuck in a rut. I think it's a great meditation, and especially for this channel, where at the intro, I talk about the things I've learned in my life. The majority of the things that I have learned in my life come at the expense of mistakes that I've made. I really, and I've shared this on here before, and I know there are a lot of people that are like, oh no, I learned so much from my successes. Well, that's other people, not me. I learn more from the mistakes that I make in my life, and I learn to do it differently. One of the things I've also learned to do is ask for people for advice, or ask people for suggestions, people that I respect or people that I admire. And I see them doing things differently than I am, or doing things better than I am. And so I look at that and I think, well, in the future I can do it differently, and I make sure I don't make the same mistakes again. To be human is to err. We are going to make mistakes in life. And I think that when we kind of just accept the fact that at some point we're going to make mistakes in life, life goes a lot easier. But like the book talks about and suggests, we don't have to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, Y'all know that I love the Oprah-isms, right? The aha moments. The dogs are just running around. I can see the camera kind of going like this. And one of my favorites is, when Oprah talks, she was talking to an actress from, I think it was one of those shows from back in the day that I watched when I was a kid. The one with Kirk Cameron. It was the sister that was on the show. But it was, as an actress. And she had a drinking problem. And so there had been all these situations that had led up to it, And then she all of a sudden is in a car driving, and Oprah said, are you going to tell me that until that moment you didn't know that it was a problem? And she said, oh no, I knew it was a problem before. There had been, things that had happened before. And Oprah said, it comes to us first as a whisper, and then it comes to us, as the wind, and then it comes to us as a wall, and then a brick wall, and then a mountain, And it's sometimes it takes us that long to learn, And she also shared this saying about this guy that she had been dating, and Oprah was like, I wouldn't take a bath or take the trash out because I was so afraid I was going to miss his calls, And it's you look back on situations like that and you say to yourself, I will never do that. Have you ever done this before where you say, I will never do that again? And then you find yourself almost in the exact same situation, doing that exact same thing again, right? That's the whisper going to the wind, going to the wall, right? Some of us have to learn things over and over and over and over again. Today at 49, I always say, I am not a perfect example of any kind of living, right? But I try to be a better person than I was the day before and the day before that. And so when I make mistakes, or when I do something that I'm that's not who I want to be, then I really try to learn from that situation going forward, It's and it's hard. And sometimes the smaller things are harder than the bigger things, you know what I mean? And it's just being a nicer person, or complimenting people, or small things like that. Those things kind of really make a big deal. Oh, Boo Radley is hopping over cords and all kinds of stuff. He's having a day. They just went out backyard and we're running all around. But I think, we have the decision of when we're going to learn those lessons in life. And if those lessons come from mistakes or if they come from successes, right? Okay, fine, but then learn it and then move on to the next lesson. And like I say over here often, that lessons are repeated until they are learned. And I do believe that. And also that, once we learn a lesson, like life is like a school that you don't ever really graduate from. But once you've learned one lesson, and maybe that's like, basic math, you go on to the next lesson, which is a greater lesson. That's like algebra, So we're forever learning based on these skill lessons that we learned when we were kids. We learn things like you don't take from others, you know what I mean? Like those kinds of things. And then from that, we have like grown into who we are today. And that's, I think, the existential search for wisdom, I think, that most of us don't ever reach, right? But we try, and is it enough for us to, like sometimes like the simplest people that I meet that, invite you in for a cup of coffee or always stop you to just say hi. They don't want anything from you. They're just really, like, I've got some neighbors like that, that are just genuinely just fantastic people, and it's like, they're so much wiser than the rest of us. They don't get caught up in the little stuff, and it's just like, to me, that is a fine way to live today, I like, that is something that I admire and I respect. So, great meditation. All right, let's read from The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. Let's see what it says for September 9th. Ooh, yesterday's was long. Okay, perspective. I love talking about perspective, by the way. Perspective, September 9th. Too often, we try to gain a clear perspective before it is time. That will make us crazy. We do not always know why things are happening the way they are. We do not always know how a particular relationship will work out. We do not always understand the source of our feelings, why we've been led down a particular path, what is being worked out in us, what we are learning, why we needed to recycle, why we had to wait, why we needed to go through a time of discipline, or why a door closed. How our present circumstances will work into the larger scheme of events is not always clear to us. That is how it needs to be. Perspective will come in retrospect. I love that. Perspective will come in retrospect. I need to remember that. We could strain for hours today for the meaning of something that may come in an instant next year. Let it go. We can let go of our need to figure things out, to feel in control. Now is the time to be, to feel, to go through it, to allow things to happen, to learn, to let whatever is being worked out in us take its course. In hindsight, we will know. It will become clear. For today, being is enough. We have been told that all things shall work out for good in our life. We can trust that to happen, even if we cannot see the place today's event will hold in the larger picture. Today I will let things happen without trying to figure everything out. If clarity is not available to me today, I will trust it to come later in retrospect. I will put simple trust in the truth that all is well, events are unfolding as they should, and all will work out for good in my life, better than I can imagine. Wow, what a fantastic meditation. A fantastic meditation, So I always just go with my gut of what I'm thinking about, and it's reminding me of, the dogs are going back and forth out of the bed. I don't know really what's going on right now. They're like so excited. It reminds me of when I was going through a breakup, and I was talking to my mom, and I have to say that long before I really considered myself to be a prayerful person, even though I was like, what do they say, like the foxhole prayers, like I always was. Did you hear Boo Radley like running here? Okay, guys, settle down. Let's find some calm and peace and serenity. They don't know what that is, unless it's 1 o'clock in the morning and they're sleeping next to their dads. Anyway, like I back in the day was big on foxhole prayers, get me out of this situation and I'll never do this again. I can't tell you how many times I said that with like drinking and using, or whatever. And I remember I was talking to my mom and it was about this breakup and I was very, very upset. And she said, well, how have you been like handling it? Have you been like, this is when I was sober. And she said, have you been talking to your sponsor about it? And I said, well, I've been praying on it a lot. And she goes, oh, well, like saying what? And I said, well, I've just been praying for God to, make the relationship work. And, and she goes, oh, sweetie, she goes, we don't pray for God for things like that. And I was like, what? And she was like, God is not like a wish granter. Like, that's not what God's purpose is, you know? And she was like, you know, to pray for things like, and this is just one person's perspective, but this helped me a lot, right? She said to pray for things like understanding, forgiveness, compassion, kindness, even tolerance sometimes, you know, and understanding when we're going through something. That's what we pray for, okay? Like, God does not grant wishes, you know? Sometimes miracles occur, but typically we don't pray for those kinds of things, right? We pray for, you know, the wisdom and strength and courage to get through a situation, right? And it really kind of changed my whole perspective on spirituality, that I am a believer as a spiritual person that there is a plan, and like there is a God and I'm not it. I do believe that, right? You know, like in our 12-step text, it says God either is or he isn't. And that was something that I struggled with for a long time, and I do believe today. Now, my higher power looks a lot different than a lot of other people's higher powers. It's a collection of many different kind of spiritual beliefs, right? And I don't pertain to any kind of one religious belief, and that's what works for me. But, you know, in looking at prayer and looking at everything, and even if there is no such thing as a higher power or God or whatever, one of the things that I realized over time was that things are going to happen the way that they're going to happen. And I'm going to make sense out of it later, you know? Every relationship that I've been in has just made me stronger in the next relationship that I was at, you know? The fact that I am open to change in the relationship that I'm in today, or the fact that marriage counseling even had a chance to work, or was able to work in my marriage, was because of all the things I had gone through the previous relationships, right? The mistakes I've made in my past have made me who I am today, to make me into, hopefully, a better person, right? And that's perspective. When I go through things, you know, my friend Tanya and I were just talking about this the other day, about something that happened, God, I don't know, 20 years ago, that I was very upset about. And I said, you know, now it totally makes sense. Why? You know, and maybe there is no rhyme or reason to it. Maybe that's just me making something up. You know, people are always like, well, what if there is no God? What if you find out at the end of your life that there is no God? Well, first of all, I won't know, right? Number one. Number two, what have I lost out on life by applying meaning to some things that happen? I'm not a believer anymore that everything that happens in life has a meaning to it. I just don't believe that. I can't. But I do believe that many things that happen in our life, there is some purpose or meaning behind it, you know? And if not, can we apply meaning to it? Even if there's not, can we apply some meaning to it? People make up words all the time and apply definitions to them. Can we not apply meaning, good meaning, positive meaning to things that happen in our lives and go, well, maybe that happened as a sign for me to learn from. Maybe that happened as a sign for me to grow from that, you know? And it's all perspective. So, fantastic meditation. I loved this one today. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys. It's only on this channel. They lose their minds every time I end this channel, the video. Anyway, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.